Hello, it's Aaron here from Define Digital Academy, and in this video I've got something slightly different because this is the first video of a two-part series where I interview two other leaders in the Google Ads space. And the reason for why I wanted to do this different format is because we've seen so much change in Google Ads over the last 2 years, and the changes are going to continue as we move into 2024. I wanted to give you some different views and different perspectives of how we can best see success with Google Ads. And in this first one, I'm delighted to have Ben Heath from Heath Media. And what we're going to be doing is I'm going to go through and show you some snippets of the interview that I had with Ben. But if you would like to see the full recording of this interview with Ben, which went for well over half an hour, and then also, once we release the second interview with the other special guest that I've completed an interview with, you'll get access to that full interview as well. And that one went for over an hour. And one thing that I want to make really clear is that when you also get access to those full interviews, I'll also be giving you my viewpoint, because first watch through these videos, you will see that they give very different responses. And it may seem like all three of us are completely disagreeing with each other, but when you really dive down into the information, you can see that there are some core themes that you can take out for success with 2024. Now, one thing that I did want to stress, and all three of us had this same thought when I started reaching out and speaking to them, is that our whole desire in releasing this two-part video teaching series was to really equip you with our level of experience and give you our viewpoint on what success will look like moving forward in 2024 with Google Ads. And can I just say that I've just got to meet both of these guys, Ben and the other secret guest, which we'll be revealing later this week on this channel. And can I just say, I really appreciate their time, and it's been great to start building a relationship with them. So firstly, in this video, I'm going to be showing you the highlights from my interview with Ben Heath from Heath Media. So Ben, given all of the changes that have been happening in Google Ads over the last 2 years, what have been the biggest things that you have changed in terms of structuring and optimizing your Google Ads campaigns?
Yeah, I think, as you say, there's been huge changes within the last couple of years. I don't see that slowing down anytime soon either. I think the biggest single thing that we've had to make a shift on, and Google to some extent has forced us to do this, but we've also seen it in the results and wanting to move that way. And I think that's moving more and more towards trusting Google as a platform to be able to optimize and get your results and things like that. Now, of course, we always had to do that to some extent, but if I look back to how we used to do things 5-6 years ago, we would have a lot more control. We would break things down, be more granular. There's still a place for that, but now we are moving more and more things to performance max campaigns and options where we're going, you know what, we just kind of have to trust Google here on this one. We think the results are going to be better, and we tested it, and often they are. So of all the changes, I think that's the single biggest one. Google to some extent have forced that. They've changed how keywords operate and all that sort of stuff to be able to make us kind of do that. But we're also seeing it in the results as well. I think as the platform has gotten more sophisticated, we've been able to do more and more of that. And I would see that continuing as the ads platform gets more and more sophisticated from this point, incorporates more machine learning, more optimization processes. I think the advertisers that do better are often going to be the ones that can have their input more on like the marketing side of things when it comes to crafting great offers, or depending on where in Google you're advertising, the creative elements and stuff like that. And then putting more faith in the settings and the structure and the running of the campaign to Google as a platform to kind of work things out.
Are there any strategies that were go-to strategies that you are not using anymore in Google Ads?
Yeah, so I think it's the specificity, like the focus on specificity as opposed to lumping things in together. So what we have found recently is I am more comfortable including a wider range, for example, of keywords within an ad group than I would have been a few years ago, and putting more, as I said, faith in the platform to kind of work it out to some extent, to handing over some of that control. So before we might have been really strict and basically just gone with one keyword term with a few similar keywords, let's say variations on very similar things in an ad group. And now we're feeling more comfortable including more things within it, within the one ad group, as opposed to getting that specific. We're also switching more and more to things like performance max, even if we are running search campaigns. Again, taking advantage of everything that's there. So I think those are the most obvious ones that come to mind. I think a lot of that change has been led by the changes that we've seen in keywords, right?
Yeah.
So I remember years ago running Google Ads, and you had an exact match keyword, and it was exact, and that was it. You just got that. So you could get a lot more specific, and you could identify quite accurately the differences between exact and phrase with, you know, a little bit of something around it, and then make adjustments accordingly. I think with the changes in how keywords operate, that's become more difficult to do. But I also don't think it's as important, as I said, because the platform's been created.
And I now want to flip that over with question 3. Are there any strategies which you thought you would never use that you are now using in Google Ads?
Yeah, I think before Performance Max came along, if you'd have told me that we were going to trust one central sort of campaign type to be able to distribute ads and things across all the various networks, I'd have said that's crazy.
Yeah.
And like if you'd have told me, that was going to be an option, I'd have believed it, because Google wants to make things as easy as possible for advertisers. So I'd have been like, yeah, sure. But I wouldn't have believed that that would perform well. Yeah. I'd have thought that the better advertisers would still be breaking things out. They'd have your search campaign and their display campaign and things like that. I mean, I remember for years running, for example, search campaigns and deselecting everything in terms of like network options and third-party networks and display network, and like, no, I just want to make it as specific as possible. And then if we want to run on display network, we'll break that out into a separate campaign. That's been the real eye-opener. And I was watching a couple of videos from Google themselves on YouTube, talking about Performance Max, and it was saying that year one, I believe it was year one after Performance Max was launched, the average improvement of results was about 13% in comparison to advertisers that didn't use Performance Max, which is, you know, not enormous, but like still pretty significant. And especially when you factor in people might need to just drop their CPA or improve their ROAS by 13% in order to make a campaign profitable and then be able to scale. So it can be completely business changing. But then one of the things that I saw was really interesting is that might have been the first 12 months. And then the latest data on it was that had increased to 18%. So Google advertisers that use Performance Max versus not using Performance Max was 18% increase. So not only does it give you a notable bump in a lot of cases, but also that is improving. I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing all these changes is more and more AI is being incorporated. Yeah. The machine learning is getting better, and I would expect that to continue. So I think I was really stuck in my ways for a long time around Google Ads. Like I learned my stuff originally 2009, 2010, and we kind of ran with that. And we did adjust things over the years, but we ran with those basic structures and keeping things really specific, really granular, very much focused on search most of the time. And that was where we sort of lived from a Google Ads standpoint. And over the years, we've had to change. But I do think in the period you've been talking about, the last 2 or 3 years, we've really changed quite a lot. And we've had to embrace all the changes and gone, you know what, instead of trying to think we've got the best way, any new feature that comes up, we're going to jump on it. Like if you think of bidding strategies, for example, I remember just optimizing for link clicks, and then we're changing to optimizing for maximized conversions, let's say, years ago. And now we've got more options like, we've had these for a while, but I think we're seeing the importance of them where we're including target bidding strategies, target ROAS, target CPA, and incorporating those in, whereas we probably wouldn't have before. And then even looking ahead, we know that Google have announced there's more bidding strategies going to be released. We've been playing around recently with the bidding strategies around focusing on new customer acquisition primarily, as opposed to just to maximize ROAS or a maximized number of conversions. So there's a lot of new features, a lot of sort of advanced stuff. And I do think actually it's probably going to make Google Ads, the platform, a bit more complicated for a lot of advertisers, particularly for beginners. You know, you get into bidding strategies now, it's not just a decision between link clicks and conversions. Which it would have been for a while. Now there's like, well, hang on. And then there's this one where it's like, we want to more heavily weight new customers. And then there's this option that's customers, what on earth do I go after? And actually, as an agency, we see that that's something that clients often request, is they want, one of the things we often see is, I don't think this is necessarily the best logic as a marketer. They really don't want to be advertising to existing customers or previous customers. They feel those people will come back through an email list. I don't think that's the best logic most of the time. I think it is good to advertise to them. But being able to say to those clients, look, we can use these options here that more heavily weight new customers, brand new people. We've had a few conversations with clients and that's made them quite happy. So I think, experimenting with those and as I said, with that just comes a lot of trust in the platform. been the main shift, and it is so different from what we would have been running 5-6 years ago.
And finally, in your view, what are the most important things to focus on for success with Google Ads in 2024?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a continuation of what we already discussed. I think it's going to be jumping on new features.
Okay.
I think the rate change is going to accelerate. More and more stuff is going to be made available to Google advertisers. And I think especially if you're a search-focused advertiser, but even if you're advertising elsewhere, it's all about competitive advantage. So if something new becomes available and you're using it and your competitors, the other Google advertisers, trying to target people searching for the same keywords, for example, aren't using it, that might be the difference that you need to be able to become much more profitable and then scale, assuming that's what you want to do with your business. So I think it's jumping on a lot of these new features, and as things come up, being just much more open-minded than I think Google advertisers have traditionally been. We've both discussed about that. Like it was very clear what the best strategies were for a long time, and to some extent that's all up in the air at the moment. So I think testing new stuff and also having the awareness of whenever a new feature is introduced into Google Ads platform, I would absolutely recommend testing it. It might not work great then. We know that sometimes features get released and they themselves improve over time. Like performance matching, we talked about being an example. You gave a great example. First month's 1 conversion, and a few months later it's 110. It's absolutely flying, right? So that's something else to be aware of. I've often tested new things as soon as we hear about them, as soon as they're available in that account, you think, well, that's rubbish. But then test it 6 months later, and okay, this is really significant now. So I think that's the first point I'd say is jumping on new things. And then I think the other thing, and I'm always very keen to sort of drive this home to Google advertisers, is yes, what you do within your Google ad account is really important, but you can't forget what goes on outside the ad account from a marketing standpoint. And what I mean by that is things like the offer. If you offer $10 for $5 and people actually believe that that's a legitimate offer, it doesn't matter how poor your ad copy is or how badly a campaign is set up, it is going to just fly, because who doesn't want to just double it, right? So that is such a huge component that is if you want to focus on one thing that will drag everything else through, no matter how it's set up, it really is the offer, and thinking about things from a first principles marketing standpoint, not getting too lost in, my competitors using this little sort of cute headline in a Google ad, and maybe I should do something. Like first principles marketing. Why do people want this thing? How can we incentivize it? How can we put an offer out that's just better than our competition? It's going to blow them out of the water. How can we find ways to massively increase our average order value so that actually if our CPA goes up by 20-30%, we're still golden. So that will allow us to scale. So some of these other considerations that are just not within the Google Ads platform, I think are really key.
So as you can see, it was a great discussion that I had with Ben. And as I said, if you follow that link in the description below, you'll be able to get access to the full interview that I had with Ben Heath. The other thing that I do want to point out is that in that video, you will not only see some longer discussions from the initial points and the best bits that we showed from his responses, but also as well, I did ask Ben about the relationship between Google Ads and also Meta, or Facebook and Instagram ads. And the reason for that is that many of you would know that Ben also has a highly successful Facebook ads channel, and he gave some great insights to how to merge and get the best success from both of those platforms, which you'll see in the full recording. So thank you for joining me. Once again, my name is Aaron Young and I'm from Define Digital Academy, and I really hope that you get a lot of value out of these discussions that I had with 2 other Google Ads industry leaders. So once again, if you want to see that full recording, just follow that link in the description below. And finally, if you want to know when I release the second part of the series, which will be coming up very, very soon, make sure that you not only subscribe, but you also turn on that notification bell so you never miss out when I release a new video. Thank you for joining me. See you next time.